Hello, I have for you today a Canadian author and painter. I'm speaking of her in terms of her writing. Emily Carr. This is Klee Wyck by Emily Carr. I read this last week. It's a collection of short stories or sketches. They're not fictional, they're based on actual events, on her memories of visiting First Nations communities in British Columbia on the west coast of Canada. Klee Wyck means the laughing one. It was Emily Carr's nickname. It was given to her by some First Nations she met while she was painting. As I read the introduction to these sketches, I discovered that after Emily Carr's death, they were edited. An editor took Klee Wyck and cut significant portions out to make it acceptable for Canadian schools. In other words, portions which criticized the Christian missionaries who went in to save or civilize First Nation communities were cut out. Portions which criticized the residential school system were cut out. Portions which discussed Native religion and First Nation spirituality were cut out. All in all, more than 2,000 words were removed from the text after Emily Carr's death. So for more than 50 years, Canadians were reading Klee Wyck, unaware that it had been censored. And now, more than 50 years after her death, we get to read the complete text again. On another note, Klee Wyck won the Governor General's Award. For those of you who don't know, the Governor General's Award is and has been a very prestigious literary award here in Canada. So Klee Wyck is a short read. I read it in one sitting. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had actually already read one of the short stories in here in a modern Canadian lit course that I took in third year of university. It was such a great story that's part of the reason that I bought this book. I thought I would read one of the passages that I really enjoyed. It really struck me. It was excellent writing. It's in the story Ukulele. One day I went to the place of the dead to sketch. It was creepy. At first I did not know whether I could bear it or not. Bones lay about, human bones, skulls, staring from their eyes hollow stuck out from under the bracken. Ribs and thigh bones lay among the roots of the trees, where coffin boxes had split. Many dead boxes were bound to the high branches of the pines. The lower limbs of the trees were chopped away. Sometimes a Hudson's Bay blanket would be bound around the box and flapped in the wind as the tree rocked with the box. Up there in the keen air, the body disintegrated quickly. The sun and the rain rotted the ropes that bound the box to the tree. They broke, and the bones were flung to the earth, where greenery soon hid them. It was beautiful how the sea air and sun hurried to help the corpses through their horror. The poor, frail boxes could not keep the elements out. They were quick to make the bones clean and white. Sometimes Indian used the hollow bones of ancient cedar trees as grave holes, though life was still racing through the cedar's outer shell. In one of these hollow trees, the Indians had lately buried a young woman. They had put her in a trunk. There was a scarlet blanket over the top. Scattered upon that were some beads and bracelets. There was a brass lamp, and her clothes too. The sun streamed in through the split in the side of the tree and sparkled on her dear things. This young dead woman lay in the very heart of the living cedar tree. As I stood looking, suddenly twigs cracked and bracken shivered behind me. My throat went dry and my forehead wet. But it was only Indian dogs. Up behind Toxis, the forest climbed a steep hill, and there in the woods was one lonely grave, that of our only professed Christian Indian, according to the missionaries. The missionaries had coffined him tight and carried him up the new-made trail with great difficulty. They put him into the earth among the roots of the trees, away from all his people, away from the rain and the sun and the wind, which he had loved, and which would have rushed to help his body melt quickly into the dust, to make earth richer because this man had lived.